今天的安排很紧凑，要一早就从酒店出发。我们在酒店门外坐22路公交车，先去联合国欧洲总部参加上午的活动，下午去探访世卫组织。因为便利酒店离繁华区很远，车程要40分钟。下了车走不了几步就是万国宫，也就是联合国欧洲总部。万国宫南门外有一道彩墙，画的是世界的苦难和拯救。街对面就是著名的断腿座椅雕塑，是纪念被地雷炸伤的平民。沿着这条街绕到万国宫西门，再去联合国世卫组织，要步行 1.5 公里。中午在万国宫吃过午饭，我们就上路了。世卫组织是联合国的机构，现在却不在万国宫，而且感觉 1.5 公里的路走了好久。这就是世卫组织大楼，1966年投入使用，有152米长。它是瑞士第一座运用铝材做外表面的建筑。有人说这里是医生和医学生一生中至少要来一次的地方。许静教授要和正门对面的雕塑合张影，请注意，注射疫苗的人单腿跪地。建筑业对这座大楼的分析很复杂，但其实看上去却很简单朴素。这是世卫组织的标志，舌杖。北大的健康传播项目跟这里关系密切，但我们来这儿交流还是得提前在网上申请，如果系统不反应，得折腾半天。总算是都进来了，我们往地下走，先去听听根除小儿麻痹症和接种疫苗的情况。这是预防医学前驱斯坦帕，30年代他曾在中国做健康服务。要说明的是，美国退群之后，世卫组织一下子少了将近 20% 的资金。我们能直接感受到的细节是它经常性的停电。据说这里的12位助理总干事减掉了6位，各部门的主任从70多人变成了34人，瘦身整整一半。它的年度财务预算已经比不上美国的一所大型医院，而它承载的却是全球70亿人的健康期望。我们首先见到的是全球小儿麻痹症根除计划的传播官 Oliver。
If you vaccinate enough children in a given area, the virus has nowhere to hide and it dies out. Disease has been reduced globally by 99%. We basically have endemic polio only in Pakistan and Afghanistan, and even in those two countries only in a handful of districts along the border between those two countries. The problem is that it's a very highly infectious disease. Most people who are infected with the virus don't even know that they have polio because they've been vaccinated, but they can still spread the virus with them. And so it can transmit silently and reinfect many other areas. And since last September, we've detected poliovirus, for example, in the sewage systems of Germany, my country, I'm German, England, Poland, where my wife is from. It's not a family thing. We're not spreading it. This spread will always occur until you eradicate the disease globally. It will never stay confined in Pakistan and Afghanistan. It will always spread out. And we know from mathematical modeling that if we fail to eradicate polio, within 10 years, it will have again spread worldwide. And we will see again hundreds of thousands of children paralyzed for life all over the world. That is why we have to eradicate. From a medical or health point of view, we have everything that we need to eradicate polio. We have the vaccines, we know how to do disease surveillance, we know how to track the virus, how to identify it, we can even predict where it will go next. What we don't have is the political or geopolitical will to reach every last child. So these are no longer medical issue barriers. They are to do with population movements. If you want to vaccinate a child, first you need to find that child. It is overcoming resistance in some areas. So these are all geopolitical issues. And Gaza, to me, is the perfect example of this. So you had an outbreak that was confirmed last July in Gaza. We have very clear outbreak response guidelines, what an area needs to do to stop this outbreak. You basically do a mass campaign, you vaccinate every kid, but if you have war, you cannot do. So the outbreak will not be stopped. Also, it will spread further. It will not stay in Gaza, it will spread into Israel. It will go to Jerusalem, it will go to Tel Aviv. That's the technical reality. And then, of course, you have a situation, and this is where health education is so important. Normally, what you would do in an outbreak response, because it's an orally administered vaccine, you go to the homes themselves. You deliver the vaccine to all children. In a place like Gaza, most houses have been destroyed. People don't live in their homes, so you cannot really go house to house anymore. So you set up kind of vaccination posts in key areas and ask the populations to come and bring their children to be vaccinated. So number one, you try to do a communication campaign to advise parents, bring your children to be vaccinated. You have to recognize that in Gaza, wherever a family is sheltering, each time they leave their shelter for fuel, for water, for food, they're literally risking their lives. And so now we are asking them to risk their lives to come out of their shelters to allow us to vaccinate their children against polio. So that's where health education becomes very, very critically important, because we're literally asking them, come, we know it's dangerous, but come and allow your children to be vaccinated. And the Gazan health authorities did an incredible job. The authorities decided, okay, for a period of 9 days in September, and again for another period of 9 days in October, between 9 a.m. and 5 p.m. in the afternoon, there's going to be a cessation of hostilities. There's going to be no shooting, no fighting, and during that time, we're going to do an outbreak response. So that was a geopolitical decision that the local authorities took on both sides.
地缘政治决策 geopolitical decision.
Geopolitical decision. We detected poliovirus in the environment in Germany for the first time last September. In Gaza, we detected it first time in July. Both countries are trying to do an outbreak response. It stopped. Under extremely challenging circumstances, under life-threatening circumstances, the people of Gaza managed to do something which the people in Germany have not managed to do, even though the infrastructure is much, much better. To me, what this clearly shows is that if you can do this in Gaza under the current situation, you can do it anywhere. There is no reason why polio should persist anywhere in Pakistan, Afghanistan, or anywhere else where it might be, including Germany. Our director says for some reason polio is like a guy on a beach yelling, "Shark!" It just gets people's attention. But the reality is, for people in Gaza, they have much more pressing needs. They don't have access to nutrition. They don't have access to water. They're cold. In the winter, it's freezing. They don't have shelter. We saw babies freezing to death, right, on the news. So polio is the least of their worries. So how do you then address all these other issues? Ultimately, in that particular situation, our Director General always says, the best medicine is peace. It's all linked to politics. If you want to improve nutrition, you need the political commitment to deliver that. And in Gaza's case, in the first instance, you need peace. I'm actually a psychologist by background, and I think you can do all the counseling you want with a person, but if bombs keep dropping on your head, that's not going to solve the problem. First and foremost, you need peace. Without that, it's going to be very, very difficult to improve mental health. If you don't have peace, it'll be very difficult to deliver food. It'll be very difficult to deliver clean water. They don't have electricity. If people are freezing to death, if you have to have electricity infrastructure to be able to run heating systems, ultimately everything is about politics and geopolitics. And polio always gets special attention. Even in Afghanistan, under the Taliban, Afghan authorities do not allow women to work. There's one exception, and that's polio eradication. Okay. We talked about the China outbreak response for polio. That was a decision by CDC China, the government, the Ministry of Health. Look, we have an outbreak. We need to stop this. So they delivered the vaccine. They mobilized their communities.
Very strong.
That was a political decision.
Yeah.
In my opinion, the correct political decision. But if you didn't have that commitment, then you wouldn't have had the same level of outbreak response. The outbreak would have taken longer. It would have paralyzed more children. Under the leadership of China CDC, stopped this outbreak in record time. 3 months from first case to last case. Nowhere have we seen a faster and more comprehensive outbreak response. China, in any event, is for us a hugely important partner. You are doing a lot of research into new vaccine solutions for us to make sure that vaccines can be more equitably and sustainably provided. So it is a huge help for us what Chinese scientists are doing. So thank you very much for that.
Oliver 正说在兴头上，第一次断电开始了。好在现在的数码相机都有自动增益功能，可以瞬间启动反应，适应黑暗中的拍摄，甚至比充分照明的照度还高。不一会儿又来电了。
Smallpox, the only disease to have been globally eradicated. Just in the last case of smallpox occurred in 1977. It was a guy called Ali Malim in Somalia. He was infected with smallpox, and thankfully he actually survived his infection. Smallpox was a killer disease. 40% of infected individuals.
I will translate it to them. This disease is 天花.
Very deadly disease. If you're infected, you had an almost 50% chance that you would die. Polio, COVID, none of them were as deadly as smallpox. So just in the 20th century, in the 77 years before Ali Malim, smallpox killed more than 500 million people worldwide. Those are actually more deaths than were caused by all wars that have ever been fought throughout human history, including World War I and including World War II. But since 1977, since Ali Malim, not a single person ever again.
Eliminated.
It's completely gone. And that's the same thing with polio. We're going to make sure that it will be gone, but only if we choose the right decisions. Gaza has clearly shown we can do it. If you can do it there, you can do it for sure anywhere else, bar none.
So I think public health also medical politics, always related to politics. My background is international politics. I also studied 3 kinds of risk communication. First one is protective risk communication. That means we know how to do it, just how to educate people to prevent some dangerous things. That's protective things. The second one, that maybe the situation is uncertain and different people may have different interests. So we need communication to try to have common understanding about things for some policies, documents, guide. Third one is we call it emergency risk communication. Then we need to mobilize people to do things.
That's correct. So I think your first point is absolutely what you said about medical politics. You're absolutely right. And I think WHO was a little bit slow to learn that lesson. Yes, we're a health agency, but we're also a political agency, and the political aspects must be taken into consideration. When the decision was taken to try to eradicate polio, they looked at the biological criteria, can it be eradicated? They looked at the technical criteria, do we have the tools? They looked at the medical aspects. They never looked at the political aspects, and I think that's a big flaw in how this whole effort, because now we're just left with political problems. In terms of risk communication, you are absolutely right, particularly in an emergency outbreak response setting, how important it is to communicate whether it is a polio outbreak or an Ebola outbreak. So with Ebola, one of the main challenges, if you remember the big Ebola outbreak in West Africa 10 years ago.
Ebola.
So Ebola, very deadly disease, 90% of people infected die. So the best thing you can do if you have the suspected symptoms of Ebola is to go to a hospital. The problem was that in a lot of these communities, there's not a lot of trust in your health system. And you saw all these people, all your neighbors who had Ebola, go into the hospital and die there. And so people were scared of seeking treatment because they thought they're going to kill me if I go in there. And of course, that's the worst thing. So how do you educate and communicate to people? Look, you need to go, despite of what you are seeing, you need to go seek this behavior. So health education and risk communication is very, very important. In Gaza, there's very little polio left. We're asking a lot of communities. We're asking them to invest their own time, their own resources to allow their children to be vaccinated. But really, polio is the least of their public health worries. In these areas of Pakistan, very little polio, and we have a global priority to eradicate this disease. But what's important for the local community is the fact that they don't have access to safe drinking water.
Yeah, drinking water.
And so 20% of their children die because they don't have access to drinking water. But we only come with polio vaccine. So how do you explain that to a community? Look, we're not going to do anything about your water problem.
Which is a priority.
Which is a priority for them. For us, the global priority is to eradicate this disease, so it doesn't match up. And so how do you make sure that you have community buy-in and community engagement? So risk communication is very, very important. You don't want to do it in isolation. Ideally, you want to clean up the water supply at the same time.
In China, the children in the mountains, the most important thing for them for the food nutrition. So our students just go to Qinghai, to the island in China, to teach the very young primary students the nutrition happiness. So we can show you the video.
Yes, that would be great.
How to do that.
Thank
How
you.
are students? Because in China, I think polio almost disappeared in China. I still remember when I was very young, I can find my playmates have some, very few of them have, but now we cannot find it because of vaccine.
It's gone. In China, polio has been eradicated since 1992, I think. But then you were reinfected in 2011, but you stopped that outbreak again. But there is no polio in China.
I think what means global health communication, I think in Gaza maybe the children there suffered from polio, but in China the children may suffered from nutrition. So maybe we need a local approach to solve global health.
Yes, absolutely, yes.
So would you
But
like
it would
to
be
see
great to
what-
see that video.
It's not only in Chinese?
So
or
we
in-
have bilingual.
Okay.
Next, I will show you this video. We did a program called Health and Wellbeing in Qinghai Province, and the altitude is very high, so people in there, they don't have much vegetables and fruits to eat. They can only have many beef and milk, and so it's not very balanced. So we developed several lessons for their primary school students and teach them how to eat balanced, and also we combine the nutrition and emotional health to let them know that we eat. It can also help us be happy and can cure our bad emotions. And here is the video.
So you guys did this video, yes?
Yeah.
Oh,
They did the lessons, also the video.
Yeah.
Okay.
In this video, you can see our faces.
okay, great. Wonderful.
And here is the meaning.
抢夺动摇，不负年少。
Here is some information. We also did a program in Yunnan province this winter.
China, East is very rich, but the West very poor. So we went to the West to reduce the poverty. So first they go to Yunnan.
Oh, it's beautiful.
Yeah, it's very beautiful.
How did you guys have a drone? Is that?
We fly in the
Yeah, a drone, yeah. Health and happiness course.
yeah. Because we know the health defined by WHO. They're very happy, and we bought a lot of gifts for them, but they like the coconuts best. We let them draw their favorite and their dream meal.
But what is your course of study? Like, what is your background? Is it health communications?
For the health communication program, we are now studying the master. When we are in the undergraduate, we have a lot of different backgrounds.
That's you, no? That was you.
Oh, yeah.
That's amazing. So it's a fantastic university program because it's so practical.
Yeah.
Because our slogan is learn by doing.
That's wonderful. Fantastic.
Thank you.
It must be so rewarding to see all these kids, they were so engaged clearly. They all raised their hands.
And we also learn a lot from them.
结束了和 Oliver 的交流，我们休息几分钟，越过围栏看看下面是一个大厅。按理说这是地下2层，窗外却是露天，看来大楼前后不在一个高度。围栏上的这个装饰，不知道是藤蔓还是一条长蛇，它上上下下攀附着围栏。这是匈牙利19世纪的妇产科医生塞麦尔维斯，人称母亲们的大救星。这是印度教的宇宙舞王，他抬起右手表示无所畏惧，向下的左手象征着从无名中解脱。这是谁？不清楚，肯定是阿拉伯人。顾不得细想，傅东波先生的控烟交流开始了，赶紧回到会议室。
自己呢在这里工作，控烟工作，但实际上侧重的是一个戒烟的工作，帮助那些已经抽烟的人怎么戒烟。第一个要谈到的就是说，全球的烟草使用的一个现状。烟草控制框架公约生效已经20年了，是不是所有的问题都解决了？所以这里呢是有一个 slide 就告诉大家，烟草使用仍然是一个全球的严重的公共卫生问题，每一年烟草仍然会致800万人死亡，包括直接的烟草使用者，也包括二手烟的这个。目前仍然有12.5亿的这个烟草使用者，这个你可以看到，这个我们这个事情还没有结束。第二个要分享的就是说，与过去相比，全球的烟草使用率呢是从32.7%下降到2020年的时候是21.7%，然后预计呢会继续往下降，到2030年会降到18%左右，这是全球的这个情况。第三个要问的就是为什么取得这样的成就，那就牵涉到大家对这个全球控烟的一个机制的一个了解，也就是说，全球的控烟是有一个公约在这里，也就是说世卫的烟草控制框架公约，它这个呢是导致刚才我们说的这个积极变化的一个原因，它的制定、它的实施是导致过去20多年的这个我们说的烟草流行率下降的一个主要的原因。这个公约呢，它是2003年的时候呢，在世界卫生大会批准，然后呢，在2005年呢是生效的。目前呢，它是在英文历史上是一个最受欢迎或者说最好的一个公约，因为已经有183个缔约方，然后覆盖了全球的90%的人群，也就是一个比较受重视的一个主题吧。这个公约呢，它是一个循证的一个公约，因为它包括了需求降低的一些策略，还有呢降低那个烟草提供的这个方面的一系列的一个综合的干预措施。那其中你就可以看到很多我们都熟悉啊，烟税啊、无烟环境啊，我们说的公众的一个宣传啊等等，也包括第14条就是戒烟的，就是我自己的工作的一个领域，包括呢比如说怎么减少这个非法烟草贸易等等这些事实，提供方面的一个措施。那这个措施呢，从世界卫生组织来说，我们比较强调的就是那个需求降低的这些策略。所以呢，世卫呢就是它推出一个我们叫做 Empower Package， 它就说，全球抽烟国你们应该侧重在这6个措施，因为这6个措施呢是最具成本效益的措施，能够帮助你最快的降低烟草使用的率。所以呢，世卫呢就用这个推动全球呢在控烟方面的一个实施。那我们呢每2年都做一个报告。从2007年到2022年，你看看每一年国家还有那个人口受这些我们说的 Empower 措施保护的这个数呢是在逐年增加。你比如说2027年只有44个国家，11.1亿的人呢是受到 Empower 其中一个措施的一个保护，也就是说这个比如说我们有无烟立法，举个例子，或者是我们有比较全面的戒烟的一个措施。到了2022年，你可以看到增加了151个国家，5.56亿人。你们重点就是关于青少年的这一些工作，对吧？那其实我们全球将来的一个控烟方面的一个挑战呢，就是跟这群人群的是密切相关的啊。 所以我就总结出至少有3个我们要面临的挑战。第一个呢，就是说我们不断的受到烟草公司的干预，他们想尽各种办法来影响或者说破坏这个控烟的一个措施，这是一个方面。第二个问题大家都知道，就是不断的有一些新型的烟草或者是尼古丁制品呢，在市场上面来诱惑这个青少年。第三呢，就是从国家的角度讲呢，很多国家都缺乏对这些新型烟草或者说尼古丁制品的一个管制，这样呢会导致对这个已有的这个控烟工作的一个破坏。举个例子啊，有些国家呢，它竟然允许人们在禁止吸烟的场所呢使用电子烟，那这个就是对这个控烟措施的一个很重要的一个破坏。关于这个新型的烟草制品，从世卫的角度上，我们主要是强调3个方面。第一个就是尼古丁的一个提供系统，其实就是指的是电子烟或者是其他的任何的那个什么用这个电池驱动的那些烟草产品，包括有任何的你能想到的，比如说那个水烟啊那个雪茄啊，它都会有这种电子驱动的。第二个就是一个加热烟草，它不是燃烧，它是通过这个加热提起尼古丁。第三个就是我们说的尼古丁的烟袋，就是像那我们说喝茶的时候那个一个袋样，它包括是尼古丁的 powder， 这也是一个新型的东西。很多国家都没有对这个新型产品进行管制。最后一点点就是说，刚才许教授也提到，就是青少年控烟很重要，有4个东西我认为是很重要。第一个呢，像他们如果参与到控烟，他们可能会对这个事实呢有更多的了解，所以呢他们可以得到保护，他们可以不受这个烟草危害的影响。理由有2个，第一个呢，很多人往往是从这个青少年开始抽烟的，国内大概在50%以上，50%以上的这个以前的抽烟的都是从18岁以前开始，美国更夸张，大概90%人在18岁以前就开始吸第一支烟了。第二个呢，他们也是烟草公司的核心的一个目标，也就是我们对营销的一个主要的目标，也就是他们希望他们成为他们的这个消费者。如果他们去参与这个控烟，他们就知道真相，他们可能就不会吸烟了。青少年他们跟成年人相比有不同的想法，比如说我们成年人我们做戒烟或做控烟呢，就是想哎呀是有健康有危害，但对青少年他可能不这样看，他可能看到就是我个人的一个选择。所以呢，如果他们加入到这个控烟呢，可能他们的想法就可以让我们的项目呢更有针对性那么更有效。再一个呢，他们很有创新性，刚才你们提到的这个社会媒体啊，还有那些智能的工具啊，或者说数字工具啊，所以他们可以有很多的想法。比如说他们会组织这种什么绘画比赛啊、艺术表演啊等等，还有通过这些新兴媒体啊来进行控烟。那最后一个就 empower， 就是刚才说到需要讲的 CTFK 是一个例子，有很多机构它提供一些资源，培训那个青少年，让他们能够做很多事情。比如说他们有能力以后，他们可以召集同辈来做一些工作，他们也可以倡导这个积极的政策的变化。所以这个 empower 方面，也就是说他们可以培养他们成为下一代这个控烟的一个有力的骨干。
谢谢傅老师。那我们抓紧时间，
世卫组织的电子设备系统也很有个性，傅先生电脑接上就可以放 PPT， 我们的所有电脑他都不认，叫来技术人员也解决不了问题，不知道问题出在哪儿，各种方法都试了，就是不行。不得已，许晶教授决定不投屏了，直接让傅先生看电脑。
我们设计了这么一个总体的 IP， 它是基于我们的 logo， 也是和世卫 logo 也比较相关，就是蛇和鸽子的形象，因为蛇也代表了治愈，代表了一种新的生命力，鸽子呢代表传播。我们就想设计一个既能代表我们健康传播，然后又可以让青少年比较乐于接受的这么一个形象。然后在这个视觉基础上呢，我们设计了一些线上和线下的这个控烟的活动。然后线上呢，包括我们有做一些海报在531展出，然后以及一些表情包，就是你也知道我们用表情包很多，青少年用表情包也很多。通过这个大家对这种 logo 的熟悉，也增加他们心里的一种控烟的意识吧。这里是视频。这是一个输入法，电脑的输入法和手机端的输入法都有设计。大家 就是这也是一个很常用的，大家接触手机就会遇到。这是我们设计的一系列的这个卡牌游戏，也是在线下，在一些快闪店可以和学生们一起互动。
非常好。
现在控烟最大的一个挑战是什么？
第一个呢，就是烟草的这个措施的控制，这个实施情况，还不是很乐观。你有立法，只是书面的一个立法，但是立法的实施，所以很多国家都不够。很多国家有这个戒烟的热线，但是打电话的人一天只有几个，那么这个就不能够帮助人，也就是说你没有 reach 到这个效率，那这个是一个挑战。另外一个挑战就是烟草公司的一种这种我们说的这种持续的这种干涉，他们一年用于这个烟草的一个宣传的一个费用，这个80亿的这样的一个钱，他们对这个烟草的干涉，这个烟草控制的干涉是非常极端的。我认为这是2大挑战。
谢谢傅老师，真是很难得，我不到这个市委来也见不到您啊。还有专门人做那个戒烟行为呢，一直我们都以为市委只是做那个政策的哈。谢谢老师，谢谢傅老师。
再出来休息几分钟，宽阔的走廊这一头是一个简易礼品店，旁边的这个铜人是个古代中国人，走近了看才知道他的身上标满至今无法证实的所谓学位，这些东西至今仍然有人相信，其实它只是一种文化。走廊的窗外是沉入地下的天井，绿植仿佛是自然生长，没有人工痕迹。回会一室，阿列克桑德拉小姐的分享开始了。
If we look some of the data analysis of behavior of social media users, the primary objective across all age groups, from like young teenagers until 65 plus, it still remains connecting with friends and loved ones, entertainment, and then later on, and in like older age group, we see people coming more for news, etc. So it is actually a tough environment for an organization like WHO to be getting attention, because often we come either warnings and advice how to stay healthy, or we come with bad news because there is an outbreak. So it's not easy to find creative ways. But I wanted to hear as well, what are your thoughts? Why do you think WHO is on social media?
For branding.
Okay, branding.
To gain larger influence and have more effect on the health issues to the whole public.
Okay. Pretty much that's overarching, like we're trying to reach more people with health information. What I'll try to do in my presentation is to show you how and why we're using social media. So the number one, social media is our eyes and ears. And in our team, we like to say that 99% of social media is listening. This is a Twitter deck that doesn't really exist anymore, but it's the best visual because we use different tools now that are harder to actually show you. We used to have a big screen in the office, and we would make these tabs that we can actually see what is coming on health issues, either from our country offices, from ministries of health, from ministers of health, or from some, heads of state, heads of government. We had one on Ebola, for example, so we were listening at the time there was an Ebola outbreak in West Africa or other places, so that we know what people are actually saying, so that we can also anticipate how people are consuming information and how best we can answer their needs when it comes to public health advice or when we update about public health information. So this is kind of an ongoing, constant work. It's not something that stops. We have colleagues who work late or start early in the morning to give us input before we start a day, and to adapt our editorial calendars. But in general as well, on your individual use, I'm looking for news and information. I'm actually collecting ideas how better to present things to my students. So it is as well a lot of intelligence. And I know that there's a lot of negative content and stuff that we are consuming, but there are ways as well, not for us in a professional setting when we are using it to know what's going on about health and global health. But on the individual basis, there are ways for you as well to tailor your feeds so that you minimize those negative content that you may not want to see on a daily basis. The other purpose is that through social media we raise awareness on various issues. One of the latest, 31st of May, is World No Tobacco Day. So we had quite a bit provocative campaign for WHO as a brand that was exposing tricks of the tobacco industry, in particular when it comes to vaping products, as they are targeting basically children and including around schools. So this is what we were trying to raise awareness on, and it worked quite well. Or measles and vaccine preventative diseases. So what are the risks when you get infected with measles, and raising awareness why routine immunization is still important. We also talk about side effects of getting immunized, so that we need to acknowledge that there are some, but those are mild and way minor risk in comparison to getting infected. Or hypertension and some other, non-communicable diseases, either how actually those are prevalent in the world, and with that we always attach some public health advice on how these conditions can be prevented. Or, for example, when it comes to diabetes, we've done a lot of work on how you can support someone living with diabetes. So package in some colorful or catchy content so that we can also get attention on the feed when people are scrolling. Mental health is actually one of the most popular topics on social media. Or road safety, there's on air pollution, but it's actually, we have a very wide mandate, so we cover quite a lot of campaigns throughout the year. We also break news through social media, and here are some of the examples when we have global emergencies, like it was COVID-19. This was one of the better news when we actually declared the global emergency is over. So that was the big news to send to the world. We also do some advocacy around humanitarian aid and health assistance, but it comes in different shape and form. Sometimes we have visuals that we can use in real time, and that's always good. If not, sometimes we actually, instead of having just text, we introduce those social media statements. So you can see a variety between our corporate and Dr. Tedros accounts, but we are also trying to bring information out there in real time. We also try to engage with communities, whether that's through replying to content and comments, etc., but also we are using live features on social media. In COVID, we had regular weekly sessions where our experts would be on camera, and using the comment section, we would be curating questions in real time from our followers and viewers, and the guests would be answering those. So in that sense, we actually gave the opportunity to our followers and communities to be part of the conversation and part of content creating with us. Not everyone likes to consume long form content, and based on the topics of interest, we would then also clip some segments from the live conversation so that those who prefer shorter or they could not join live could actually see it later in more adapted and easy to consume videos. Through social media, our leadership also engaged with world leaders. This is actually Vice Premier from China who came here a couple of weeks ago also for World Health Assembly, and there was a bilateral meeting and signing of the agreement, and we also communicate this type of engagements also for transparency and giving visibility of how we work with countries. Or actually when some of the world leaders are posting something that's relevant to our work, we engage with that content as well. We also use social media to engage with influencers. Here are the BTS group from Korea. I'm sure you are aware. They've been quite active during the pandemic on mental health topics, or also... Do you want to say something?
Well, my friend asked me who is BTS. I said
They were actually doing quite a lot of content on public health advice, wearing masks. So we knew that they have a big fan base, so that engaging with their content would also help us to spread further the public health advice. We had the World Health Assembly in Geneva a few weeks ago, and in order to promote physical activity and not just sitting throughout the whole day, they actually played the BTS song and everyone was dancing. So we posted that from Dr. Tedros' account, and it got over 14,000 retweets, 39,000 reactions. Obviously using the BTS and their fan base helped to actually get message out so much wider. We had actually quite a few engagements with Lady Gaga. During COVID, we had a big online concert together at home, and she was our lead artist for that one. Before COVID, we actually worked with her foundation on mental health, And also, there's another K-pop band, Super M. 1 year for the World Mental Health Day, we also had an online concert because this was during COVID. Also, to influence, we sometimes really jump on like trends. This was during COVID. There was a moment where all like Meta's apps were down. Facebook, Instagram, WhatsApp were down. And our very talented colleague, she just created a very simple post. Instagram down, Facebook down, WhatsApp down, but never let your mask down. Wear a mask properly. And using our video, and it's not visible here, but it has like dozens of thousands of engagements because it was quick, it was timely, everyone was talking about these platforms, and she actually just used the opportunity to bring a public health advice into that. And through social media, we also fight misinformation and disinformation. So we have a relatively new series of products that we call Plot Twist. To certain information, we also go and reply to set the record straight, or also to get into the base of those who are spreading mis and disinformation. So we were monitoring what's the misinformation spreading and rapidly producing these simple tiles that were debunking misinformation. We had plenty of campaigns during COVID, whether on preventative measures or the COVID vaccines, in a way responding to all kinds of rumors that we were coming across. Or some of the videos like Dr. Mike Ryan here, it's also from one of our live Q&A sessions where we were getting questions about mis and disinformation, and then he was explaining how actually, you know, we're getting bombarded by mis and disinformation when there is a misunderstanding.
Do you use any big data to analyze the public opinion?
So we use third-party tools like TalkWalker, where we can get sentiments from different platforms on like what are the conversations around health. And then when it comes to data, we actually have a colleague on the team, and she is actually manually making our databases and analyzes every 6 months in depth how we've performed on each platform, what was the most consumed content, what worked best, what didn't work, so that we can actually revise and see how to move forward on each platform.
Okay. Could you please give some advice to our students majoring in health communication?
One thing is definitely to be vocal. I've spoken to quite a lot of different student groups, including master public health students, and I've noticed that they often feel shy to be out there and talk about health, thinking, you know, I haven't graduated yet, I haven't worked, I'm not the expert yet. But unfortunately, there are so many people who know so little about health, and they are actually very vocal. So we need actually you guys to also try to influence your peers. Try to find your way and your niche among your friends and your communities, because you're the generation that's growing up on social media. Are they telling us that we need to go? Thank you. So it is part of your lifestyle. So if you can incorporate a bit of your, profession into that lifestyle, that would be great. In general, the way the world is moving, we need public health experts to be digital spokespeople in a way. You're actually sharing your knowledge and experience with your communities. Can I have a selfie with you guys then?
Selfie. Yeah.
Yes, okay, great.
Maybe you can just sit here and
Just do it from here?
Is that okay?
That's perfect. I am not sure I see everyone. Yes, great. Oh,
Hold this together.
okay.
We are from Peking University and as PKU.
Okay.
And we major in health communication.
Oh, that's amazing. Well, I'm hoping some of you will work with us one day.
And this picture is drawn by the students we teach in Qinghai province in China, and we teach several lessons mainly focused on the nutrition.
Okay.
Yeah, and they draw their dream meal for us.
Oh, that's amazing.
So we printed here.
Oh, thank you. Well, do you want me to hold this for the photo?
Of course.
Okay. Well,
We need the background, maybe. 北大健康传播，加油！
耶！世卫组织的媒介传播官王静女士为我们随口介绍简易礼品店的出版物。她在2007年加盟世卫组织的时候，先是在出版部供职， 现在他要带我们看看世卫组织传播司的办公环境，因为滑雪受了伤，他便一瘸一拐地领着我们慢走。
把我这个展示瘸腿的这个形式，没敢拿到滑雪的这个。对啊。
传播司在楼上，当然我们只能陪着伤残人员坐电梯。办公室的陈设最能看出主人的情趣和阅历。
感觉很有张力，就是
东南亚的孩子们。
好可爱啊，这个办公室。
这里是小型工作间，有一些非线编辑机，一旦有了视频素材，可以在这里做一些简单的编辑工作。现在是下班时间，传播司基本没人了，所以我们可以随意走走，不会干扰他们的工作。说到办公区域，欧洲人和美国人的偏好不同，美国人大多喜欢开放式工位，欧洲人却偏爱个人办公室，他们的个人风格会有相对大一点的空间。而世卫组织大楼是两种办公模式的结合，从这里走过去，可以看见上下4层由中间挑空的开放工作空间。中间层还有几位员工在工作。让洋人加班工作不大可能，估计是正常排班，干的就是值夜班。这是世卫组织的彩印报纸，从这儿向上看，上面一层也是开放空间。看来瑞士这地方也有谢兆兰。这是传播司的小餐厅。
是比如中国给我们捐款吧，它是会费之外的。比如说我们想救助结合，然后疟疾，或者说这个艾滋病方面，我们这个款项用得大，你可以就是指定的，你也可以说我们这是一部分捐款，然后由世卫自己来自由支配。
世卫组织的实习生原先月薪不低，现在进一个实习生跟进一位员工一样，程序复杂严苛，而且薪水也要降低了。看来我们的孩子没法在这实习了。一切为了健康，健康为了一切。结束参观下楼，我们和一位正要下班的官员聊了一会儿，和王静合影告别，谢谢他带伤引路。走出世卫组织大楼，一整天的活动结束了。再见，世卫组织总部。